I am so jazzed about our next speaker. I am so jazzed that I could jump out of my skin and fly around this room right now, and my skin would collapse like a little puddle. Ladies and gentlemen, our next speaker came all the way from Denmark just to speak to us. He has to be one of the coolest dudes I have ever met.
How cool is he?
He is so cool that ice cream seems warm next to him. That is cool. His name is Martin Castor Peterson. He is so good at hypnosis, because he definitely is hypnosis everything. You're going to have a tasty tidbit of Martin right now. His subject right now is script-killing hypnosis. You'll also get a tasty morsel of him tomorrow night, because he's going to do a mentalist hypnosis, wild, wonderful, amazing show. He came here with his lovely wife, Marianne. Where are you, Marianne? There she is, yes. So he's an IHF trainer, and he is terrific, and he's going to do all kinds of things right now, but I don't know what, because I have no idea what script-killing hypnosis is, but at the end, I guess I'll know. Ladies and gentlemen, please warmly welcome Martin Peterson.
Thank you. All right, just going to shut this off, I think.
I think that's off already.
Not yet.
I lied.
Now it is. Woohoo!
Good job.
Thank
Go
you.
for it.
Hi. Happy to see you guys. Traveling 24 hours to get here. Amazing. It's almost midnight, but it's all good, isn't it? Yeah? The cool thing about being this place is actually I went to the IHF Conference years ago, a couple of years in a row. So the last time I was here was 2013. And now I'm back and I'm all excited to have a chat with you guys. So you guys excited? Yeah? Feeling happy? Some familiar faces in between? Awesome. And the cool thing is every time people kind of, advertise or tell people about, now Martin's going to do something about his script-killing hypnosis, it's almost tongue-breaking, isn't it? Script-killing hypnosis, think about that. Kind of like this is an attack on classical hypnosis, but it's really not. I was brought up with hypnosis 20 years ago when I started doing this amazing work. I was told how to do it, what to read, how to deal with my clients, what to do, when and where, and all of that. So everything was totally schematical in a way. Everything was beyond conversation in the terms that there was not really a conversation, only in the beginning saying, so client, what seems to be a problem? And they started telling all about the problems. And the further in the session we get, the more it got manifested within the body, but I still only had my scripts to read from. And when they started talking about the problems, there were so many words they used that was not part of my scripts. And the problem could be finding a script that really fits my client. But the kind of riot I had in my mind or in my body was, how come I'm supposed to do this when I actually just want to speak with my client? I believe hypnotherapy is a two-way communication. It's not just, I call it hypnotists, they usually tell the clients what to do. Hypnotherapists, they have a conversation with the clients, consciously and unconsciously. And there's so many golden nuggets hidden in any conversation you have with anyone in the world that if you use their words with them and against them, they will change right in front of you. I did a demo once, it was on Hypnothoughts Live 4 years ago. There was somebody there saying, well, you can't do that. And I said, well, would you like to join me on stage? And for 7 minutes, he had a problem, he says. I have a problem. Only thing I did was actually just giving him his own words back, telling him exactly what he told me, but in a different way. And he thought, now it's a question. He gave me some information, I turned it around and gave it back to him. Now he thought it was a question. So within minutes, we came down all the layers and he came with a solution. And I just, repeated the solution. He went, that was brilliant. That's a good idea. I'm like, yeah? Where do you think that come from? Well, you made me say it. No, I didn't. So, exactly, you made me say it. So what is this all about? Because I do believe all clients, they have all the answers. And I do understand that coming from where I come from, really learning this the hard way, I think, at least that's my perspective on it, I was afraid of actually having a debate or conversation with anyone that was supposed to be my client or somebody who gave me questions about hypnosis, and now I was about to perform and, convince people. It's not about that. It's about everything beyond that. Because it's not a fight. I'm not the one who has to adapt and please my client. If they want help, I will do my best to help them. They need to respect that, otherwise we have a problem, right? So think about how many times you deal with clients where you think you have to change the way you work so they feel more comfortable. In a way, we have to make them feel comfortable. But do you go at the repair shop with your car telling your mechanic how to do, change the exhaust pipe or whatever? We don't, do we? Because we don't know how to do it. So I was kind of battling all these ideas and grabbing things from my past many, many clients, noticing where the change actually happened. Because if I'm looking back at all my script hypnosis that I did, the change didn't happen there. That was just comfortable and nice or boosting their energy, but only for a certain amount of time. So the real change was actually either in the pre-talk or after, because we had a real conversation. A real, not discussion, but insightful talk about what seems to be the issue. And I'm so fortunate, I've been traveling the world for quite some years now, learning from the best all over, and nobody's better than others, but everybody has a different perspective, and I try to adapt that and make that mine also. So it's my version of my world I'm presenting right now. And even better, what if we could change people right here in front of us, not talking about the problems? Because I think that's wrong, really. Having a client step into your office and you go, so what's your problem? And they'll go, well, I think I have a depression because there's an issue at my work and there's another employee that keeps bullying me. And you go, oh no, really? And they kind of feel that that's getting even more power now. It's like, yeah, really? He's bullying me. How? How do you feel? Because that must be painful, right? Because we have our own ideas, we have our own references, and we have our own experiences throughout our whole life, and we're putting that into the conversation right now. But that's not part of their world. So I do it quite differently. If I have a client, I will ask them the question, so what do you think right now is your problem? And it's very important to me to let them know on an unconscious level what they think is the problem, because it really isn't. How many of you had a client stepping into your office saying, this is my problem, but within 5 minutes, it's something completely different, right? I see in a lot of people heads nodding right now, and it must mean yes, okay? So why should we spend more time talking about that? Because it will manifest within the body, in the mind, in the behavior, in the resistance of the hypnosis, right? But it's not about that, it's all about the change. So what I would do, just said that, what do you think will be the problem or is the problem? They will go, this, and I will stop and say, okay, that's pretty cool. We'll get right back to that. But first of all, how do you want to feel when you leave my office? And they go, whoa, never had that question before. So I'll give you a couple of minutes, it's okay, but how great do you want to feel when you leave? And that already at that point, they're in some kind of trance because they never had that question before. It's kind of like, whoa, I didn't feel that when I came in. I thought we were supposed to talk about my problems. All that fighting or resistance within the body has to leave to be able to answer my question about how great do you want to feel when you leave my office? And they do. And that is a set of expectation right there. And I know throughout my session, the max of 60 minutes, that set of expectation will grow to something way bigger because the change can happen that fast. Another thing about the script killing hypnosis is Why do we spend so much time testing our clients? I don't test my clients because either there's trance or there's no trance, okay? There's no such client where you can say, well, you're one of those who cannot go into hypnosis, because that is just a bad excuse for doing poor work. I truly believe that. Thank you. Or maybe even the lack of confidence in what we do. I was there once, believing, well, if things are not happening the way I expected it, because they're not doing their job, because I'm totally doing mine, right? And that was my confidence. But there's no such thing as someone cannot be able to go into hypnosis. And there's no such thing in my world, after all, about where I feel I need to test them before we go there and then put them into trance, wake them up, say, whoa, you just went there, let's go again. Right back down, right? We don't have to do that. We don't have to do the iFriends test or the Friends model of 32 levels of trance, or you have to be on the 17th level unless, if you're not, you cannot do therapy. And that's BS, really. It is. Because most people, where they do the most profound change, either from deep trauma or something different, they actually just closed their eyes and thought about something. So why not just allow it to be that and not something different? So imagine this, you have a client, they think, now we have to talk about problems. But right immediately after they enter the office, they're talking about how great they want to feel. And you might even be so bold that you want them to close their eyes asking, so where do you relax the most? When you think about that right now and they close their eyes, boom, they're right there. How does it feel like to be at that place right now if you were there, pretending? How would that feel like? What is making you the most relaxed right now thinking about that? How does it feel? How does it smell? What do you see or whatever? Now we've got all the senses going. And that's a 2-minute conversation. New set of expectation, new ideas, trance already happening on some kind of level, and all the senses are working. Should I go wake them up and say, well, you have to choose an induction right now. You can choose the meadow, the flowery field, or the forest, or the mountain. Which one do you pick? Right? Because that usually pulls people off the idea that we're going into trance in a moment. Because they have to fit into our model of how to do inductions. Close your eyes and think about something that makes you happy or just neutral but great at the same time. Everybody's in trance within seconds. So I'm using that to go further on. And some clever client or maybe some client that's not really aware of what's happening might go, so what about my problem? And I will go, once again, we'll get right back to that. That's totally okay. But how great do you want to feel now when you leave my office? So I keep putting things on top of their problems because we're not going to talk about what they think the problem is, because it's not. It's something different. Okay? I do respect it though. Don't get me wrong. It's not like, well, you don't have problems. Leave it and let's do something different. It has nothing to do with that. But I do know that the actual issue that might be an issue for them is something way larger or something completely different from what they think it is. And the unconscious will, at some point throughout the session, reveal that. And you know what? It's so much easier to deal with than the imaginary problem. So much easier. So if you got that right, you will blow the mind of your client and they will have a great experience. So some people might go, because I've been teaching this for quite a while, they will go, so how do you know what to do when? Well, that's a good question. You have to, first of all, have a conversation with the client. If there's something that say something that has to do with trauma, well, you have to do a model on trauma, definitely. If it has something to do with behavior or parts therapy, we've got Jamie in the house, parts therapy, why not? Because that's the best tool for doing something like that. But that is not necessarily the place where the clients change. It's not the place. It's the conversation before, during, and right after. It's all of it. So how fast can a trauma actually appear or be created? How fast? Split second. Yeah, split second. So why do we think we have to work with 10 sessions to be able to deal with a trauma? It's false. Well, I do understand it this way. If we kind of acknowledge what they think is the problem and we work with all that, we need more than 10 sessions. because that's not going to do a whole lot of change. But if we actually attack it the right way, it will take just a split of a second to redo that. And I'm not thinking about a way of just taking away the trauma, putting it inside of a bag and go to some field and bury it, because it will rise again, like Phoenix, right? It will. And we can hide it, we could put layers on top of that, or locks on whatever, the box or whatever, put it in a safe, throw away the key, but it will pop open when the right triggers are present. So here's my philosophy on that. There's nothing at all in the world that's so bad that it's not meant for something good. There's not something or anything in the world that creates a bad experience or bad trauma where there's not a better skill or something hiding in it that you can use for something even greater. I do believe that. So comparing sessions like girls who had severe sexual assaults or rapes and something like that, being told by a psychiatrist or whatever that, well, after 2 years of sessions, well, you could have dressed differently. It's kind of like mirror the guilt right back to the client. Why would it be like that? So imagine this, I had this girl, she had an Arab boyfriend, and she went to visit him, and she was 15 years old, he was 17, 18, and he had his friend over, and in the living room there was bottles of booze. No parents at home. She knew what was going to happen. They had to drink some booze and see what's going on. And before she knew it, she was on the couch, no clothes on, a little bit drunk, and she knew they're going to do something right now, both of them. And in her mind, she kind of just tapped out of the situation and survived, but she felt guilty. She felt powerless. She felt dirty. She felt like she was low life and she didn't deserve to be here. And she went through therapy again and again and again throughout 3, maybe 4 years, and gave up on life. Every time there was something in her surroundings reminding her of that, she peed herself, she got totally depressed, anxiety, afraid of everything, of people, and couldn't function. I had one session with her, 40 minutes. And she felt amazing right after, because you know what she found out? She survived. So what I did challenge with her was not going through all the steps of the rape. It was, why do you know now that you did that? What would have happened if you did something different? And she knew, she said, well, if I was fighting back right now, I might not be here right now. Because those guys, they would kill me. Or at least, beat me. So I was just sitting in a corner right now, nothing but drooling because I couldn't, because that's how much power they got. So I did the best in that moment, and I survived, and I withdraw, and I knew I'm more powerful than they are. So she discovered that she was actually way more powerful than them because she knew how to survive in that situation. And how many females thinking about that right after something like that happened? I bet no one. Because all we do, and that's how our brains are kind of constructed, is we could have done differently. There's like this little white angel saying, oh, you're so sweet, it's all good, but we also have the red devil saying, you could have done differently, right? Why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? And you're not good enough, you could do better. Is that the best thing you got? It's right there, right? You guys know it. So why should we listen to it? Because it's just how our brains functions. It goes way back in our genes. Survival, 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 survival. Somebody will say, well, eat, sleep, sex, right? But it's still survival, 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 all of it. And we might be modern or socialized or be really good at communicating with others, but certain small things surrounding us takes just a little bit of change before we actually got totally derailed and change our behavior into survival mode, unless we know how to embrace it and empower it and change it to something different. So wouldn't that be nice to change it to something different? Because where attention goes, energy flows, right? So if you keep thinking about what seems to be the problem, what could I have done better, keep looking over your shoulder to the past, you're not going to change at all. One of my mentors, John Overdove, said, well, all you are is changing. And it's absolutely true, and it seems like, whoa, that's a catchy note right there. All you are is changing, but you are. Look at your body. How much that's present right now in your physiological body was there 12 months ago? Not much. Most of it has changed because that's how body functions. It keeps reproducing itself, replicating itself. Maybe not the teeth, but most of everything else does. So are you not changing? Just the fact that you're looking over your shoulder, thinking about your past, and building another, unreal reality to your explanation or your excuse of not changing, that's also changing you in a different direction. So do you want to change for the better? This means yes, and this means no. And I was just curious, and it seems like nobody wants to change, but do you want to change for something better? Yes. Awesome. And do you know you have the power to do it? Yes. Good. Are you doing anything about it? Yes. Some hesitation there. Am I? You are every moment if you think about it. So how great do you guys want to feel when you leave the conference? Yeah, because every moment is a learning moment, isn't it? And you might think right now that you have problems. Problems. Have you? How fast can you change that? Does any one of you have problems that you have tried to work with for quite a while, but nothing happened? Show of hands? Yeah? Another one in the back? Somebody over there? Yeah? What kind of a problem, Carol?
Oh, that's not. Thank you.
You raised your hand, didn't you?
Thanks for the opportunity, but I don't really want to go there. Thank you.
Okay.
Volunteering by raising your hand.
And you could have changed right there. Yeah. Do you want to change? So we could just call the problem without going into details.
Let's do that.
Would that be nice? Yeah. How much time we got, John?
You got 20 minutes.
That's plenty. I could do 2 in that time. Awesome. So you want to play around? Sure. Just a little bit? All right. Let's get some chairs up here. Just an extra one. That's a problem. Interesting. Thank you. We got it. We got it.
So it doesn't matter if they're all the same?
This doesn't matter. Which one do you want to
I'm
use?
good with this one. That looks
Interesting. Because, no, it's just here.
You just want to play. Okay.
We got it already. We're so fast. Thank you, Bryce.
Thank you, Bryce.
So, thing about this. I had a guy from the US military. He hasn't been working for 7 years because he was involved in something in Iraq or something where he had a job. He needed to pick up a phone. He was working with a flight commando kind of central. I don't know what it's called. I'm very demilitarized. But anyway, what happened was somebody almost died and he thought it was his problem. So every time a phone rang, he got scared, he got afraid because now it was his fault if somebody else, had an accident. For 7 years, psychiatrists, psychotherapists, all of them tried to help him. The government tried to help him. He used all his money to get some help. And I did something with Scott Sandland 4 years ago, and he was sitting in the room. 14 minutes, it's gone.
Nice.
But then he had a new problem. Now he doesn't care about the phone, so now his wife has to pick it up, and she needed to pick something, a fight with me, saying, so could you kind of make him do something? Now he's so relaxed that he's not paying attention to the phone. So, but that's a good problem, isn't it?
Yes, sure.
All right, so you have a problem.
Yeah.
Okay, and we just call it that.
Sounds good.
That's it. So, and do you know what kind of, situations you're in, and that kind of pops up as a problem?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And would you care about, what does it do to you as a person? Like, do you feel limited or?
Lowers my self-esteem.
Lowers your self-esteem. So something that happened way back lowers your self-esteem in the right moment.
Okay, yes.
But how is that a problem?
How is that a problem?
Yeah.
Define as a problem. Because I really don't want to lose energy to it.
You don't want to lose energy to it. So in that moment, you actually draw more energy and attention to it, so it gets more energy,
Yes.
so you're not losing energy.
Okay, fine.
So what's the problem?
Paradox.
Paradox.
Yeah.
So what else is there? If that's not the problem of the energy, there must be something different.
It's a preoccupation, and therefore it has that energy.
Okay.
And I really don't care to go there.
Okay.
That energy does not need to go there.
So beyond what you think is part of that energy, what else is there? Because there's something else also.
I'm confused.
You're confused.
Yeah.
So in what other situations do you feel a similar energy, but it's not a problem?
Other situations do I feel a similar energy and it's not a problem? I don't know.
You don't know.
No.
You haven't thought about that.
I don't know.
So you didn't give that attention.
No.
So it's not something that's only there, but it might be something similar in other situations that feels good. So how do you know the other one is bad?
Well, right now I feel like I'm in a state of confusion.
Isn't that good?
That's an interesting
That's where we
introduction.
learn, isn't it? It's quite cool. So how do you want it to be?
Move on.
Move on.
Yeah.
How much power do you feel doing that?
Oh, tremendous.
How much energy do you have right now doing that?
A lot.
So you know when you're thinking about the problem, you know you can move on and draw energy to that.
Yes.
And when you bring that right back into the problem, what happens? Having all that energy, moving on, what's happening?
It's like a reality check. Huh.
Isn't it?
Yeah, that's
So
interesting.
you did that, huh?
That's
What does that mean?
Yeah.
Something's changed, right?
It's
There-
like I consult that situation as if it were a reality check as opposed to, yeah.
Is it even more or even less reality than what you thought the problem was?
Is it, the it being,
The thing you just did.
is
The aha.
the reality check?
Yep.
I'm confused.
Good thing. And it makes you smile, even though we're talking about your problem. So how much better do you want it to be right now?
Yeah,
Is there anything more you want to do with it?
yeah,
How great do you want to feel?
great,
Yeah.
awesome.
When did you feel that great the last time?
Oh, with all the different meditations, the clay and the stories.
There you
and,
go.
And the elevating experiences and, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So how do you feel about the problem now?
Now I'm going back and consulting it. It's like a
Yeah.
reality check. So I just consulted it as soon as you asked.
Okay, so and what's changing right now within your body and your mind? Think about the problem, because I do see something's changed.
Yeah,
Because first of all, you didn't want to talk about it,
I still do.
and you had like a closed body to
Right.
it, but now you did something different.
Huh. I don't know.
Right now, that's even more powerful than it wasn't before, or even less powerful than it was before.
I'm not sure. I'm in a state of confusion.
So how does that feel?
To be in confusion?
Hmm?
Like, let's go with it?
Are you confused about the problem being a problem, or
No, now I'm consulting it again.
how?
Just reality check.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you confused about that?
No,
Okay, so you just did a reality check.
yeah.
And how is that moving you? In a different direction, or same direction, or pushing you forward?
It's a rut.
It's a,
It's a rut.
It's a rut.
Stuck in a rut.
okay, so how it's holding you back right now? When you know, when you're thinking about it, you want to move on.
Ridiculous,
Isn't it?
isn't it?
So it's a ridiculous problem.
You bet.
But now, change it if you're just thinking about it right now. If you know you thought you were stuck and you thought it was a problem, but you know when you feel like that, you can actually move on because everything else is ridiculous.
Well, I can absolutely, in my mind, play the mental gymnastics of minimizing it and maximizing everything else that's so much more worthwhile.
Good. So what is it you want to minimize? What kind of feeling is it?
Irritant?
Irritant.
Yeah.
How is that a problem?
How is it not?
I guess there must be a situation where being irritant is actually giving you more power to do something different. Because something is holding you back, but you can change it or move away, right?
Okay.
Is it wrong?
Confused.
Again,
Yes.
isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
Yeah. So bring that
Okay,
into the future right now.
the confusion.
Yes, and you know you can change, and
Yes.
you can maximize the good stuff and minimize the bad stuff, and just be an irritant.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about the problem right now?
It's an irritant.
It's an irritant.
Yes.
So it's not holding you back, it's just irritant now.
No, I can get stuck in that rut again.
You can if you want to.
That's right.
But are you right now? Besides just being
Yeah, the
irritant?
more I consult it again, I go back into the rut.
Okay, so how much power does it have to hold you back right now?
About the same as before.
Why?
I have no idea.
Do you want to move on?
Yeah, sure.
Bring that emotion into it.
Okay, wanting the wish to move on.
Yep.
Yeah.
And feeling ridiculous
Yes.
about
Yes.
about not moving on.
Yes.
Is it ridiculous not to move on? Could that make you irritant?
Yes.
Okay, interesting.
Yes.
But you're still doing something about it, aren't you? Is it a different kind of irritant?
I'm still doing something about it, and is it a different time? I don't know. I'm confused now.
Yeah, because it's ridiculous not to do something about being irritant, right?
Yes.
How could that be a problem? Because you could do something just before.
Yes.
So where's that feeling right now about being irritant or holding back?
So I'm consulting it again, and it's irritating because I do something about it, but it doesn't change.
Do something different.
All right.
Don't grab it by your thoughts.
All right.
Where is it inside your body right now? Feel it.
Yeah, you know what it's like? It's like wearing one of those suits, like you're wearing clothes, too much clothing.
Okay,
It feels like heavy.
okay.
Okay.
Think about the ridiculousness.
Okay.
Bring that into it.
Got it.
Being irritant about not moving on.
Okay.
Can anything in other situations hold you back from doing something you really want?
Yes.
Can it?
Yeah.
Are you not determined?
I'm determined.
Okay, so is anything else holding you back? Because you can change. And when you want to do something, you do it, isn't that
I
right?
just went into reality check again.
Okay.
I can change. I've tried it. It doesn't change.
You tried what? To
A
change?
whole lot of things.
Okay. A whole lot of things.
Uh-huh.
So how is that a problem?
There's an aha over there, whatever
Yeah.
that was. To try a whole lot of things?
Yeah.
How is that a problem?
Because it's not holding you back right now, is it? But that thing is. How do you know it's that thing that's holding you back? And the other things cannot hold you back?
It's not holding me back. It's just that
Oh.
part of things is in a rut.
Okay.
Yeah.
And making you irritant?
No,
No?
no.
So how?
Curious.
Curious now.
Yeah.
So is curiosity a problem?
No.
So what is the problem?
You want me to go back and consult it again?
I just wanted to feel it and sense it.
Yeah,
Where
it's
is
there.
it?
Yeah,
It's there.
Yeah.
So how is it a problem now compared to 5 minutes ago? Because now it's
The same.
same.
Yes.
And which direction do you want to take it? Because there's some power into it,
Yes.
in that feeling you had all over your
Yes.
body. How could you use that in a positive way?
Oh, yeah, mobilize all sorts of activity and deliberation, determination, and
Wow.
yeah.
So there's a
sure.
lot of power into it.
Yeah.
So, but you're choosing to be irritant and not doing anything.
No, I do things.
You do things.
Yes.
So doing things is a problem?
No.
So then I don't get it. So what seems to be the problem? If it actually allows you to do some things and being determined, how could that be a problem?
Because I want to do other things. I want the problem to be done so I can do some other things.
Because the problem don't allow you to do other things.
It's distracting.
Oh, so it's distracting.
Okay.
So thinking about it right now, that the problem is making you feeling determined and being aware of there's other things you want to do also.
Yes.
How could you not be distracted by that, wanting to do other things, instead of just allowing the problem to holding you back, not doing anything at all? Because that has changed within the past.
And now I'm confused again. Do that again?
Good, yeah. It's on purpose, you know.
I know.
Okay. So what seems to be the problem right now? But when you know, you thought you had a problem,
Yeah.
but you just told me that it's making you feeling even more determined to do things, and now you know there's more things you want to do, so why not use that energy to do more things?
Absolutely.
Okay, so what's the problem?
Then I'm checking reality again, and there it is.
Yeah, so, but if it's a tool that you can do more things,
Sure.
so how can it be a problem then?
I get the reframe, but I reality check and it's still there.
Yep,
and it's still there.
Okay, so you went from it's a problem, I don't want to talk about it, to it's holding you back, and then be irritant, and now a source of power so you can do a lot of things, being determined.
Yes.
So don't you want that to be there, that you can do things?
No.
You don't want to do things.
No, I don't want that to be there.
So what if that is actually the power that is the source for you to do things, and you're just missing the whole point of the energy in it?
Yeah, I'd like to play with that.
So imagine right now that that's not part of you. Will still have the same power to do things? Or do you feel that drive that was there before is not really pushing you into doing things anymore?
I suddenly do feel that shift. As soon as I said, now I can play with this.
Oh, you can play with
Yeah,
it.
there's the shift.
So what's the problem about playing with shifts
Yeah.
and moving on and do something? Aha,
Yeah, that did something.
didn't it?
Yeah.
Do you know now why I needed you to be confused a couple of times?
Yeah, sure.
Because otherwise you wouldn't be there, right?
Yeah, sure.
So what is the feeling right now about being able to do other
Discovery.
things? Discovery.
Yeah,
How is that a problem?
that's not.
It's not. I said, think about right now, moving into that reality,
Yeah.
that you can discover, you can move on, you can change, there was a shift, and you can do more things that you thought was possible, and bring that all back into what you thought was your problem. Do you want more of that energy so you can discover even more?
Yeah, but not with that reality.
But with the powerful reality.
I'll take the discovery and the play, but I don't.
Isn't that good?
Yeah.
Because that's the source.
That's the source.
Yeah.
That,
What you thought was the problem before is the source now for discovering new stuff.
Okay. I'm going to give a little bit of that to you. Just a little.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
So how does it feel right now?
Like I'm holding a rubber band, and I'm holding most of it, but you've got a little bit of it. And I'm not going to snap
So
you with you.
who's
Don't
letting
snap
go
you.
first? Right? You can choose to do
But it's
when
really interesting to feel it kind of like,
there's a shift.
oh yeah, holding on the
Okay.
resistance to the breath.
So think about right now. You want to do something. You want to discover something new.
Sure, yeah.
Know that feeling was there and it's changed to something different. So now you know you've got power to do that stuff. And you know there's all this stuff also that you can actually go and discover because the power is there to do it. Isn't that irritating to know that there's so many things you want to do?
No.
It's ridiculous just sitting here knowing that we're not doing anything about right now, unless we are.
Yeah, now you're confusing me, but no, it's not irritating.
Do you want to do something about it?
Sure,
So the problem is not irritating.
correct.
It's discovery.
Wow. I can actually feel the shift.
Good.
Wow, that's creepy interesting.
Wow. How does it feel right now?
Oh, I just suddenly feel like this animation of liveliness is just taking hold in a different way. I really can't describe that.
Think about that for a
That
moment.
was amazing.
So where do you want to take that right now? That whole experience.
I don't want to forget it. I want
But it's right there.
Yeah, I want to maintain the animation of
Do you
it.
feel how powerful that is?
Yeah. Wow, that's so interesting.
So what seems to be the problem, being that powerful?
None. That's creepy.
Awesome. Thank you.
I'm glad I've
All right. Some might have been thinking throughout this small session like, oh, he's gonna die on that one. But no. You see how many times she got confused? On purpose. You know why? Because that's the moment where she started doubting what was actually happening, her problem. That's when she started doubting it. And a new emotion started to erupt, a new idea, a new sensation. And then she moved on because did you recognize all the words she used? I used them with her or against her? Both.
Yes.
Okay. So, and it was not to, empower or anything because you got all the discovery in front of you. It used to be a problem, right? Have you been working with that for many times in the past?
I know I could engage in a logical conversation right now. I could do that. But somehow I feel like I've engaged in something that's rewired something, and I
There you
can't
go.
go back to the old paradigm.
Good.
It's fascinating.
Good. Say that. So what you feel right now is you try to tap into what used to be the problem, but there's such a big shift that you cannot access it.
Well,
Is that?
one, I don't want to.
You don't want to because it's unnecessary.
Two, because I want to hold on to this new experience, because
Okay.
I want to immerse myself in it, because it felt pretty wow.
Cool. Awesome.
And three, it's a new paradigm that I don't have by definition, so I only have it by experience.
But it's being structured right now. That's why. Cool, because this was my test of the work I just did. Because if there still was a problem, she would be, it would be easy as nothing to start talking about it again. But she just discovered the shift, and there's a paradigm shift within you. Awesome.
That's so awesome.
And my question to you guys is: was she in trance?
Yes.
Like, look at my hand or whatever, relax your body and all. The first time she was confused, she was in a good state of high theta right there, because otherwise she couldn't, experience what she was experiencing. And did you see the shifts in the chair happening? She came from this to open up, and then suddenly, hey, there's a change. And the body's not lying. But you guys are going to know more about that tomorrow night when I'm doing my show, because wow, you guys are in for a treat. So that's all right. How are we doing on time, by the way, John? 2 minutes. Awesome.
Can
Yep.
I say one thing? Like the theta, I'm going to do something on brainwaves on Sunday, okay? So I'm going to do that sort of thing. But you know what it felt like was not theta? It felt like the gamma creative energies
Yep.
had somehow been in a very surreal process,
True.
swirling around, and I really, so it's, okay, done. That's as best
Okay.
I can do.
I'm attacking you on different levels, that's why. Body-wise, theta. Restructuring, gamma, no doubt about that. So we have a lot of peaks in different levels of trance right now. Or when this was happening, that's why it came out the way it did. So thank you for participating. And what's even cooler about this, we never discussed the problem. Think about that. Okay? I don't have to know anything about it. I just want to know, how does she want to feel, and what do you think is the problem right now? Feeling it. That's it. That's how we can do the changes. Okay? There's a post-training after the conference, 2 days in Newport Beach. If you guys want to attend that, Scriptkilling Hypnosis, 2 days, pure fun, just like this. And even more on top of that. So thank you, everyone. It was fun. Yeah.
That was awesome. You rock.
Thank you.
That was great.